Hey guys, Cam for 15, back it off another video for you guys. Back talking some more Clippers basketball, where breaking news happened. Now I would have talked about it a lot sooner, but I had to go to work, and legitimately when the trade happened, I was getting up to go to work. And we have a major move that the Clippers made, probably the biggest move that they're going to make this off season, and everything just from the standpoint where the team is going, and that is the fact that the Clippers acquired John Collins in a trade. And the thing is, John Collins is actually coming in, but Norman Powell is going out. So that's the thing right then and there. Norman Powell essentially got traded, and John Collins comes in. And this was a move that a good chunk of Clipper fans on Clipper Twitter wanted this move to happen because clearly they needed a power forward, and John Collins fixes the issue at power forward. So this morning, at 7:19 a.m. my time, which would be 10:19 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Essentially, the Clippers traded, or there was a three-team deal. The Clippers, the Jazz, and the Heat agreed to a trade that sends Norman Powell to Miami, John Collins to Los Angeles, and Kevin Love and Kyle Anderson and a 2027 Clippers second round draft pick to the Utah Jazz. Now, whatever the hell the Utah Jazz are going to be doing, I have no absolute clue what the hell they're doing over there in Utah. Maybe they buy out Kevin Love and they just be like, hey, Kevin, you can go where you want. Maybe Kevin just fucking goes back to Miami. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe he just goes somewhere else to end off his career. I just don't know. Um, Norman Powell, he'll be going to Miami. They definitely do need scoring options over there, so Norman Powell will definitely give them scoring. It will be interesting to see if he'll be brought off the bench or if he'll be a starter. I would say probably maybe a starter because of what he's shown this past year. So the Heat will probably use him as a starter role, so that will be good for him. He'll definitely be, I guess, a part of their core over there with Tyler Hero and Bam Adebayo. And he will give them stability for, you know, at least a year, and we'll see if Miami will extend him. But yeah, regardless, he was on an expiring contract, and it's clear the only two things was the Clippers were to either decide on potentially re-signing him, which would have probably re-signed him for a bigger deal, or they would have to eventually move on and trade him. Now the thing was, are they going to trade him in the offseason, or are they going to trade him at the deadline? And the Clippers decided to do this and get it done in the offseason as opposed to waiting at the deadline. And realistically, they didn't have to give up much to do it, so that's good. And again, John Collins comes in. He is going to be the power forward for the Clippers going forward. Now, will they extend him? I would hope that they would extend him. I don't think you make this trade if you do not extend John Collins. So I kind of do hope that they extend John Collins because I believe John Collins can play a role in the next era of Clippers basketball and be a solid role player going forward as they usher in the next new era of Clippers basketball, that I'm dying to see because I'm just so sick and tired of this Kawhi era of Clippers basketball. So regardless, we'll take it. Anyways, his stats from yesterday, or from last year, he only surprisingly played in 40 games. And the only reason why I think he only played in 40 games last year was probably because the Jazz wanted to try to tank, to try to get themselves the first overall pick. But that clearly didn't happen. So yeah, but he averaged about 30 minutes per game, 18 points, 8.2, yeah, 18.9 points, average that per game. Had 82.2 or 82, 8.2 rebounds a game and 2.0 assists per game. And then just looking, what is it? I'm looking at his going to his stats. Um, Percentage wise, he's 52.7% from the field, and then from three, he is 30, and this is just last year. He is he was 39.9 percent from the field from three. And then his free throw was 84.80, yeah, 84.8 um, from the free throw line, which was the highest out of all of his career. The second highest being 2020-2021 season with the Hawks. But yeah. So regardless, what do I think about the move? Am I excited? Am I happy about this move that a move was made and stuff like that? So yeah. But look, um, I am happy with the move and everything. So I will definitely take it. Um, the Clippers, frankly, just needed a power forward, and that's what needed to happen because clearly that's something they haven't had or they've had a deficiency at for a very long time. And they haven't had an athletic, power forward realistically since Blake Griffin, to be honest. Like, they haven't had it. They've just been having dudes just come in and just do what they need to do. And realistically, they were having more threes masquerading as four. And John Collins comes in and he is your new power forward. And Lawrence Frank talked about this in his press conference after they made the move to get John Collins. He talked about how much they now knew they need to value the four, basically, because of what Aaron Gordon did to them in the playoffs. Hmm, shocking. Who would have thought? You actually need a four to combat another four in a critical playoff series, and instead of having running a three guard lineup or just running Kawhi against Aaron Gordon, that clearly wasn't working. So I don't see why they didn't do this move. This was clearly the move to make. Clearly the move to make. And the fact that Lawrence Frank actually came out and admitted the fact that they saw, that he saw that Aaron Gordon clearly gave the Clippers problems in that playoff series, just from the standpoint they didn't have a power forward to at least limit what Aaron Gordon can do. Hmm, that makes this move a lot more sensible. It's too bad that they realized a lot later than usual, but that's typically Lawrence Frank's thing, which also goes to show me why I want his ass gone as much as I want Ty Lue gone. Because how the hell do you legitimately not realize for all these years you need a power forward to help take the load of Kawhi and his freaking decapitated knees? So then guess what? You're gonna have somebody else taking the brunt of it instead of having, Kawhi be the main power forward. Now John Collins inserted into the starting lineup. Kawhi can rightly go back to the three guard, which is a small forward position, and then whoever you put at the two guard, we'll see. People are thinking it's going to be Bradley Beal if he gets bought out off from the Suns. Which if they do this move, Clippers better hope that Bradley Beal gets bought out. Because that's the ongoing rumor that Bradley Beal is going to get bought out by the Suns, and then the Clippers will probably go in and offer the rest of the money they have left remaining to him and have him on a cheap deal for a one year deal essentially, right? Which regardless, I'm not too high on Bradley Beal, but it is a solid move. I guess if you want to be quote unquote competitive, he'll give you some solid minutes there. And again, it's another guy that can take the load off of James and Kawhi if needed. But regardless, he comes in, he's gonna be the third best player. And it's only in the instance of where he only becomes a second when Kawhi obviously sits out for a game, or if for whatever reason Kawhi gets hurt and he has to sit out a certain amount of games. That seems like what the play is going to be now that they got John Collins. They still have to address the backup point guard, barring unless they have complete trust in Bogey and Bogdanovich to be the backup point guard to Harden and kind of do that and stuff like that. So we'll see. But regardless, it's a solid move. They needed to make this move because, again, like I said, you go back and you look at the playoff series against the Nuggets. They had virtually no answer to stop Aaron Gordon. Aaron Gordon was going off legitimately in almost all the games, and they had nothing to stop. Kawhi couldn't stop him, and then you're putting guards against him, and that's not working, and stuff like that. And they had to do this, and then obviously the very brutal Game 4 conclusion loss, where essentially they got the putback and you ran a lineup with like three guards out there, and Norman Powell's responsibility was to box out Aaron Gordon. He didn't do that, and Aaron Gordon essentially came in, dunked the ball for the win. Now you go back and look at that situation. Just imagine if you had the lineup out there with Zoo, Kawhi, DJJ, John Collins, and I would say probably Chris Dunn out there. That's probably not happening now. Which, in my opinion, that should be your closing, you know, defensive lineup right there. I think that's a solid defensive lineup. You get all of the defensive liabilities out of the game and you go all defensive. Now, John Collins, albeit he is skilled offensively, he does have some defensive issues, but under Jeff Van Gundy, I think they'll get him to buy into playing better defense. And on top of it, he's another lengthy guy who's going to be playing alongside Kawhi. And then on top of it, Zubac as well. He'll be sliding right next to Zubac. And the thing is, he'll also be a spacer because he can knock down the three ball, and he can hit perimeter shots. And if he can be an athletic guy that rolls to the basket, gets you dunks. He definitely can do lobs and stuff like that. So definitely going to be cool to see what he can do and what he can bring to the team. So yeah, but it just gives the Clippers, in my opinion, a lot more flexibility at the floor, and stuff like that. And yeah, but I like the move. I do like the move. Um, you know, Clipper fans are going to be heartbroken over the Norman Powell thing, right? Some Clipper fans have gotten over it. Some may think disagree with it. I know the beat writers kind of were just like, yeah, well, I guess that's fine, because they know, because again, like I said at the start of the video, this was a move that most of the Clipper fan base wanted to see happen. I know my boy DJ, he wanted to see this happen and he was begging for this to happen. So, we'll see where it goes. But again, the thing with Norman Powell is, guess what? And I saw a tweet, earlier, and I quote tweeted and responded and said like, look, you can go out there and because the tweet basically said like, I think the Clippers are going to regret trading, Norman Powell. Dog, no, we're not. We're not going to regret trading Norman Powell. People said the same exact shit about Paul George. Well, the Clippers are going to regret, letting Paul George walk for nothing. That's a stupid thing. And they went on to go win, have a 50-win season. So clearly they did not miss Paul George at all, right? And the same thing will be with Norman Powell. Yes, will they miss that, scoring that he can provide you in terms of the fact like he can go off for a few baskets and get in a rhythm and he stays hot? Yes, but here's the issue. And this was the issue in the playoffs. When Norman Powell is not scoring, he's a liability defensively out there. A massive liability defensively. And if he's not scoring, well then why is he out there? You might as well just sit him and not and give minutes to somebody else, right? Because his defense isn't good. Like we know Chris Dunn. Yes, it's abysmal that he can't knock down an open three to save his freaking life, but at least he's got defensive. At least he can play some defense. Yes, you hope he can make a shot, but the fact that he can play good defense, guess what? You'll live with maybe sometimes, him not shooting. Now in the playoffs, probably not as much, but in the regular season, you'll take it. You'll be fine with it, right? But that's the thing. Norman Powell is just, albeit for his good offensive prowess and how good of a heater, run he can get on by himself just scoring the basketball, right? The thing is, guess what? When can't find a shot and he's not shooting anything and he's not making his shots, he's a liability defensively. And again, the problem with Ty Lue is his ass keeps playing these dudes that are not making much of an impact, and because he falls in love with this dude. Yes, Norman Powell did great the first half of the season, and then he got hurt. And then when he tried to get reintegrated back into the team, especially with Kawhi now back, it hurt the team. And if anything, he became more of a nuisance than a positive, like he did at the start, because he didn't go back and accept the role he once had, and that is, look, dude, we just need you not to do much now that Kawhi is back. Take your spot up threes and everything, but outside of that, we don't need you to do anything. And in the playoff series, he against the Nuggets, he was brutal. He was getting picked on defensively, and then he outside of game three, he wasn't really doing much anything offensively. Like game three, he came alive and he just had a breakout game, but outside of that, he did next to nothing. So it's like, well, what was the point in continuing to play him, right? What was the point? So John Collins coming in, and realistically, he averaged basically around the same amount of points per game that Norm did, and he shoots fine from three. So, if you're a Clipper fan and you're thinking like, I don't know why we did this move, we're gonna be fine. John Collins will still get you the same amount of points per game like Norman Powell did, right? Now, will he be as efficient in the regular season like Norman Powell is? I don't know if he will be, but time will only tell. And then the good thing about this, trade is it just further tie proofs the roster. So where we don't have to see 3 or 4 guard lineups out there because guess what? Ty is gonna have to go to a John Collins instead of a guard. Um, because I'd rather see that than whatever the crap Ty Lue be doing. The more that Ty Lue can tie proof the roster, I mean Lawrence Frank can tie proof the roster, the better. And personally, again, I was in one of my boys' DJ space, and one person did make the mention of like how they believe that this could be Ty Lue's final year at the Clippers, where it's that kind of like Doc Rivers thing. It's like, all right, you've had enough time to do what you need to do, and you're still making these simple ass mistakes that you shouldn't be making. And we've been tie proofing the roster to the point you can't make these mistakes, but you're still making these mistakes. And I hope that this is going to be the last year of Ty Lue. So then we can get a new coach that can usher in the next new era of Clippers basketball. And personally, I'd rather go for somebody outside the organization and you go hire somebody outside the organization, not hiring, somebody from the Doc Rivers tree or hiring somebody from Ty Lue's staff. The only coach that I want the Clippers to bring back on that freaking coaching staff is Jeff Van Gundy. Yeah, it's Jeff Van Gundy. If Jeff Van Gundy is okay with coming back for the Clippers with a new coaching staff, that is the only coach that I'm saying, hey man, we'll keep you because of his defensive knowledge and how he helped the defense out. But outside of that, like, in my opinion, Ty Lue gotta go. He plays favorites, and taking Norman Powell away, which was another Ty Lue favorite, it's good because okay, now we can really focus on the real thing and we can actually really truly see what this team has to offer. So, regardless, I like the John Collins move. It gives us our power forward. It's going to ease the wear and tear on Kawhi. And again, it's a solid 18 point per game scorer and stuff like that. Now, we'll see what happens next. Lawrence Frank did say that they're not done yet making some acquisitions to the team, which only means that my best case is they're going to be going after Bradley Beal if he gets bought out. Again, we will see if the Suns do end up buying him out, but it kind of is kind of the whole thing of like, okay, what does Chris Paul do? If Chris Paul goes to the Suns, I could see the Suns buying him out. But if Chris Paul doesn't go to the Suns, does the Suns buy him out? I don't know if they will. They might just as well just be like, screw it. We didn't get Chris Paul. Let's just freaking keep real and just maybe deal with it for another year, and then will think about maybe potentially buying out his contract. But I think they would actually save more money if they end up actually buying out his contract. But we'll see. I think their whole thing is they're waiting to see what Chris Paul does because they're trying to get Chris Paul to come back to Phoenix. And if they do, that's basically why the reason why they buy out Bill. And the question is Bill going to go somewhere else or is he going to want to go to the Clippers? So we'll see. We will see. But anyways, I'm the guy for guys. If you guys like the video, leave a like, put in the comment section your thoughts. Hit that subscribe button if you want to get more Los Angeles Clippers content or any other basketball or sports content I upload to the channel. Till then, guys, I'll catch you guys in the next video, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.